Thank you very much, Martin, for the floor and for your never failing leadership carrying on the SME torch. And thank you very much also to Sergio Aracini and Markus Jager for these very thoughtful words and reflections. Certainly something for all of us to reflect upon and think about. It's an honor for me to join you today to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the first OECD SME ministerial in Bologna, which culminated in the Bologna Charter on SME policies, as already mentioned. The Bologna Charter represents really a huge milestone in the building of a shared vision, a long-term agenda, and a global partnership to foster entrepreneurship and SME development. This is something that has evolved, adapted, and broadened over the last 2 decades. The continuation of that landmark event into a dynamic process was also marked by 2 other ministerial conferences and declaration in Istanbul in 2004, and then, as mentioned, again in Mexico City in 2018. And it proves how much this process was a driving force to place SMEs high on the international policy agenda. And I think it's fitting that we praise President Enrico Letta. I see him that he has joined us here in a virtual environment. Welcome, President, for his vision and ambition when he, as Italy's Minister for Industry and Foreign Trade, decided to host the very first OECD ministerial conference on SMEs. This anniversary could not take place at a more topical moment, as all our economies and societies struggle to tackle an unprecedented crisis and governments seek avenues to build back better. SMEs and entrepreneurs have been hit very hard by the COVID-19 crisis, you all know that. It's ravaged small business activity across many sectors and world regions. By May, June this year, more than half of SMEs were already experiencing a significant drop in revenue. Cash reserves were running short, and at the onset of the crisis, SMEs' ability to survive without liquidity support did not extend beyond 2 to 3 months, even less in some sectors. The huge impact on SMEs means a devastating impact on employment and social cohesion. OECD calculations show that in the most affected sectors, SMEs account on average for around 75% of all jobs, compared to 60% in the total business economy. And even though, luckily, bankruptcy rates did not increase as much as one could have feared, largely due to extensive and swift government intervention, difficult positions are still piling up and could lead to insolvency spikes in 2021. But the pandemic has also accelerated several other and perhaps more positive trends, including SME digitalization, which are opening up new opportunities for innovative entrepreneurship, and also for accelerating long-needed investments and structural transformations in many small firms. This needs to be central to government and societal efforts towards a strong, resilient, green, and inclusive recovery. The 2020 OECD Ministerial Council meeting that took place just a few weeks ago was exactly centered around this theme, and the title was "The Path to Recovery: Strong, Resilient, Green, and Inclusive." Ministers also agreed that current priorities are to restart hard-hit economies, support jobs, promote clean technology development, and sustainable quality infrastructure, while increasing new opportunities for those adversely affected by the pandemic. Ministers certainly shared the view that promoting a jobs-rich recovery demands scaling up efforts on education and effective active labor market policies, including reskilling and upskilling of workers towards new and sustainable activities. And that is, of course, both in large firms and in SMEs. It's therefore essential that recovery packages fully incorporate strategies and measures to enhance SME resilience and competitiveness over the longer term, to foster their transition towards the digital economy and more sustainable business models. Recovery will be neither inclusive nor sustainable if such an essential part of our productive fabric and local communities is not back on its feet and ready for what will surely be a new normal after the corona crisis. At the OECD, we have strengthened our efforts to support governments through our role as a best practice policy compass, continuous knowledge exchange in committees and networks, and contributions as trusted advisor to both the G20 and the G7. We also very strongly believe in the value of multi-stakeholder dialogue. This is why all voices are crucial to better understand challenges, concerns, but also promising developments and unexploited opportunities for SMEs in a post-COVID era. This joint event with the International Network for SMEs, an outcome itself of that very first SME conference in Bologna 20 years ago, gives us a unique opportunity to hear from stakeholders that operate close to the SMEs and entrepreneurs in their countries, and who are, you could say by definition, essential to the effective implementation of public policies. A little bit, a ray of light has proven itself over the last weeks, as we are in this very dark phase of the second wave of the pandemic. I think it's fair to say on the positive side that that the lockdowns are perhaps less hurtful on economic activity, but on the minus side, we also know that companies, and especially SMEs, are perhaps more fragile now because they have been so badly hurt by the first wave. I think there is hope in the vaccines that have appeared over the last couple of weeks. And first and foremost, this gives security to SMEs and to governments and to investors that we can see an end to this crisis. So as we continue to cope with it and embark on the path to recovery, your insights and priorities will help the OECD focus efforts to ensure that we support better policies for more resilient and competitive SMEs. Thank you very much, and let me wish you a fruitful discussion.